We at it one more again. It's your boy Funkentelechy, aka Super McNasty, aka Bass Boy, back up in that ass with episode 3 of the Funkentelechy podcast. This episode will be all about my top 10 favorite fighting games of all time. Let's just get into it, man. Number 10. You guys have probably never played this fucking game, let alone heard of it, but this was an old fighting game on a Nintendo 64 called Flying Dragon. Now this game had two modes. It had a regular fighting mode where the characters looked normal, and then they had a SD mode like Puzzle Fighter and Virtua Fighter Kids where the characters are all little and have big ass heads, and that was the more in-depth mode of the game because not only was it just fighting, it had an RPG element to it where you could like equip your fighter with power-ups and bullshit and they would be stronger or faster the next fight. Oh, and I'll remember the shop girl who sold you the power-ups was cute as fuck, dude. Like I said in my last video, I was like 5-6 years old at the time. I was all into anime girls. You couldn't stop me on that shit, man. Anyway, Flying Dragon was cool as hell. My favorite characters were, it was Red Falcon on the regular version. They sound like Bruce Lee. I didn't know what the hell he was saying when I was a little kid, though. I was like, why is he screaming? But then I grew up and found out, okay, doing like Bruce Lee type sounds. And, I didn't really have a favorite character on the SD version. The fight mechanics were unique as far as I can remember because, like, I remember the characters had special attacks and you could choose whether you wanted to fight in, like, 2 dimensions or 3 dimensions. So, if anything, the fact that it was basically 2 games in one makes it one of the more, I don't want to say underrated, but, like, overlooked fighting game experiences in my opinion. Alright, number 9. Mugen for the PC. Now, I know that Mugen is an engine and not a game, but the amount of things that you can do with it are insane. You can opt for, like, a traditional fighting game experience. You can have, like, the ultimate Street Fighter, like, dream game with every character ever. Or, yeah, you could do, like, a dream match type game, like, you know, Capcom versus SNK, or Marvel versus Capcom. Or you can just have, like, an all-out fuck fest with just random-ass motherfuckers that aren't even from fighting games in the first place, like fucking, like Super Mario fighting like Ronald McDonald or some shit. Because why not, you know? Then you have people who have literally like 2,000 characters on their fucking Mugen and see, like, I'm the type of guy who likes order in my game. Like, I want all the characters in their respective spots on the select screen. I want everybody fighting on their particular stage. I want everybody to be the right colors when you select them, etc., etc. So, like, I'm opting for a low-key experience with, like, at most 100 characters. But the fact alone that you can have as much characters as you want is just wild. Like all the stages that you want to, how you want the actual menu to look, just all that shit. My only complaint about Mugen is when people make those broken ass characters with fucked up AI and you can't even fucking win the match, so you gotta hit the goddamn F1 button just to kill them and end the fight. And I hate doing that shit because it makes me feel like a punk. Like I can't beat the character. It says something bad about my skill. But if you want to advance in the game and you're fighting a bullshit ass character, then you don't really have a choice. But yeah, Mugen is the shit, and if you build yours correctly, you can have yourself a nice, balanced fighting game experience on the PC like nobody's business. Alright, number 8. Dead or Alive 2 Hardcore for the PlayStation 2. Oh, shit, man. They should have just called this game Titties and Ass Part 2. I was sprung off of every female character in this game. Now look, I'm 6 years old playing this game, and Kasumi got her ass on hanging out with the white panties showing, fucking Ayane with her cute big titty ass. Fuck. The entire Dead or Alive series is a testament to the statement that sex sells. You know what I'm saying? But like putting that aside, the actual game itself is great. You know, amazing graphics for a game that came out in 2001. I remember on my 6th birthday, I had got a PlayStation 2 with this game. And I also got Knockout Kings 2001, that old piece of shit. Had a good soundtrack, though. But anyway, Dead or Alive 2 was a great game. Granted, I did not really know what the fuck I was doing because I was just a kid at the time, and I was just mashing buttons. But, you know, I regret not being able to fully appreciate the experience. But from what I remember, the game was fun. It was the shit. It had good graphics, had sexy girls with some big ass titties. You can't go wrong there ever. Oh, and I never got to play the Extreme Beach Volleyball series because I never owned the Xbox, and I didn't want to look like a little pervert asking my parents for it. You know what I'm saying? There's like a huge regret though, man. All them girls running around in little bikinis doing sexy shit. Watching videos on YouTube is not the same, so I refuse to do so. I still want to have the experience for myself one day. Once I get me a stable income and I can get all the goddamn consoles I never had growing up and stop having to settle for emulators, you know what I mean? Alright, number 7, Mortal Kombat Deception on the PlayStation 2. This was my shit! Back in the day, early 2005, used to play the hell out of this game. Now, the actual fighting part itself was cool. It was basically the same thing as Deadly Alliance 2 years prior, which was a fucking dope-ass game in and of itself. But what really made this game the shit was Conquest Mode. I mean, they could have made Conquest Mode a separate game, and that shit would have sold like hotcakes. But if you think about it, Conquest Mode is essential to the main story of the game. And you need to actually play it through in order to unlock alternate costumes and stages and bullshit for the actual fighting part. Because other than Conquest, Deception is basically just Deadly Alliance with slightly better graphics and a bunch of new ass shitty characters like Dairu and Havoc. Like, who the fuck are these niggas? You know what I'm saying? It's like, just fucking garbage, man. Anyway, in Conquest Mode, you assume the role of Shujinko, who is some kid that runs around socking people in the face and doing anything anybody tells him. It's dope though, because like literally every Mortal Kombat character makes a cameo in Conquest, either as a fight challenge or someone you do little chores for. And you do this until Shujinko gets really old and he finds out the Kamidodo he was collecting was all a lie to make the Dragon King like really strong. So this nigga spent 60 years being tricked, hence the title of the game, Deception. But good premise for a game and a good way to link Conquest Mode to the main fighting part. Number 6, Street Fighter 4 and all its variants for the PC. Now, I torrented this game as an 18th birthday present to myself a while back. Once I got it all hooked up, got the graphics fixed, and had the game running at a suitable frame rate, I just thought it was the shit. Played just like an old school 2D Street Fighter game. You had old characters, new characters, all looking great in 3D. It had all their signature moves and gestures and shit, like remastered. It was just awesome, man. Animation was smooth. Girls was looking pretty sexy too, but that's a different story for a different podcast. I remember having historic matches with my friend Sammy back in college. He had the Xbox 360 controller hooked up to the computer with the USB. I played using the keyboard, and man, he was my only true rival at Street Fighter. I used to fucking hate when he would pick Akuma and do his super on me that takes off like 3/4 of your goddamn health. Just wild ass shit, man. That shit used to piss me off. But it was fun ass times, man. He was good with Bison, I was good with Sakura, and my roommate was good with C Viper. And we would all just play and have a good time. Arcade mode was cool too. I made the mistake of playing on very hard at one point and finding myself fighting Zangief later on. I could not beat him for shit! I was fucking raging and yelling. Like, I was living in college in the dorms at the time. And my roommates just looking at me like, what the fuck, Damn, I always fucked up on the barrel part, where you had to break all the barrels when they come down the thing. And I would destroy like all except one, or they would all start running me over on some unfair bullshit. Crushing the car, the bonus stage where you crush the car, that was fun as shit though, So Street Fighter 4, just classic game, Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, Ultra Street Fighter 4, motherfucking super duper awesome, freaking pimped out ass motherfucking gangsta ass Street Fighter 4, all the fucking variants they came out with, man. Oh, fucking Capcom knows how to milk the fuck out of their cash cow games. Anyway, alright, on to number 5. Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter on the arcade. Woo! That's my shit! Give me Ken, give me Wolverine, and I'm good to go. If Ken doesn't get shit done with his moves, Wolverine's gonna come in and play clean up with the fucking Weapon X, or he'll do the Tornado Claw on that ass. We can get it cracking like eggshells, or popping like Orville Redenbacher. Yeah, I know they're cheap ass characters, but you can lick my fucking ass crack, cause I don't give a shit. Anyway, enough of that bullshit. Marvel vs. Street Fighter is a fun game with a great selection of characters. Ryu, Ken, Sakura, Wolverine, Cyclops, Blackheart, fucking Shumagora. Just, you can't fuck with it, man. And it holds a distinction of being the only arcade fighting game that I've actually beaten. I could handle Apocalypse and even Cyber Akuma after I had enough practice. But I feel like it doesn't really count because I played it on an emulator and not the actual arcade machine. I did play it on the arcade machine at Round 1 in the mall a couple weeks ago, but it had been a while, so I was rusty, and it seemed like I couldn't do any supers or anything. I'm like, what the fuck? I only made it to like the third round trying to use a little joystick and the buttons and shit. I felt kind of fucked up, but I mean, what can you do other than practice? Other than that, not much to say about the game. Number 4, Mortal Kombat for the Xbox 360. Now, I've been a fan of Mortal Kombat ever since I was 4 years old, and I played it over at my mom's friend's house on the Super Nintendo. And since then, I played every game in the series. Without a doubt, this is the Mortal Kombat game to own. It does a flawless job of bringing the series full circle. It's 2.5D, so it retains the classic Mortal Kombat fighting format, but with the next generation graphics. There is nothing about this game that doesn't kick ass, man. Arcade mode, story mode, the challenge tower, alternate costumes, fatalities, babalities, battle damage so the female characters get their clothes ripped off, you can almost see their fucking titties. Just every goddamn thing. All the OG characters got brought back. None of those bullshit motherfuckers like those fools from Deception or Deadly Alliance that nobody cares about. This was the game that finally let people take Mortal Kombat seriously as a fighting series. Because, everybody likes to suck on Capcom's ball sack, especially in Japan. Because I didn't really get into Capcom and SNK fighters until like 2 years ago. And also, the reason why there aren't any SNK fighters on this list is because, I haven't played any. I can imagine it wouldn't be much different than Street Fighter either, so, there's that. Anyway, everyone always said that Mortal Kombat was shit, and it was hard, and it's a gory-ass gimmick game. And to a degree, they're right. Like, I look back at the old Mortal Kombat 1 through 3, those motherfuckers are hard as shit, man. They're not even really that fun either. You have to exploit the fucking AI to do anything up in those games. And once you take off the fucking nostalgia goggles, you find out that those games were next to impossible, especially on the arcade. At least in Capcom arcade fighters, you kind of have a chance to actually beat the goddamn computer. But in Mortal Kombat, you're fucked. So yeah, Mortal Kombat on the Xbox is basically just undoing years of 2D bullshit and just starting over. I have no complaints about the new Mortal Kombat other than the fact that it took me like 100 goddamn tries to beat Shao Kahn with Raiden in the last fighter story mode. I almost broke my fucking controller. That shit was on some unfair early Mortal Kombat shit, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, cold ass game. On to number 3, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of the Superheroes on the arcade. Come on, now, this is a fucking classic, man. Everybody knows this shit. The definitive crossover title. Everyone knows this damn game, man. If you haven't played it in the arcade, then maybe you played it on a console. If you haven't played it on a console, then I know damn well you watched the playthrough. Hopefully mine. Hint. But yeah, the original Marvel vs. Capcom, old pimpin' ass game. I always used to pick Morrigan and Wolverine. I didn't really care for Jin and all those motherfuckers. Like, I would play as different people just to get a feel for them, but you always end up finding a team to stick with, which I did. But yeah, Morrigan Solar Racer would take off half your health, and if your punk ass was still standing, Wolverine would come cut you up real quick with that Berserker Barrage. But to this day, I still don't know how to do team moves or crossover moves. Well, actually, this one dude on YouTube told me how. I bet you I whoop even more ass next time I play the game if I follow his advice. Maybe I can actually fucking beat Onslaught in his final form, old punk ass bitch. I can never fucking beat Onslaught. Ever. Never beat the fucking game. And let me get it out the way real quick. Honorable mention to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. My roommate used to have it up in college, and I would always whoop ass with Ryu, Chris, and Morrigan on some gangster shit. Now, of course, I would give every character a test drive just to see who I'd have more fun playing as, but that was my core right there, man. Not a bad game at all. It would probably be number 11 on this list, but it's top 10, not top 11, so yeah. Number 2, Def Jam Fight for New York on the PlayStation 2. Now, I have been wanting to play this motherfucker for years, ever since it first came out, and I didn't even get to play it until 10 years later on a fucking slow-ass PlayStation 2 emulator. This is the most fucking gangsta-ass game ever made. I mean, what other fucking game can you see fucking Snoop Dogg, Dub C, Mac 10, my nigga Warren G, kicking ass on some motherfucking gangsta shit? They all had different fighting styles, knocking niggas out with big ass left hooks, tag team moves, busting bottles over niggas' heads, just crazy, insane ass shit. I mean, I played Def Jam Vendetta, the first one, and that was a good like wrestling game using that fucking AKI engine from the old Nintendo wrestling games. You know, it had fucking DMX, Ludacris, Nori, Ghostface, all them niggas on there. But see, like, that was just like a straight up wrestling game. And you couldn't even create your own character, which was another cool thing about Fight from New York. And this game just fixes everything that was wrong with the first one. And it gave the whole game its own new unique fighting engine. So it's not just wrestling anymore. And to my knowledge, I think it was completely original. It had never been done before. And yeah, story mode was really fun. Arcade mode was cool, but my favorite part was customizing the fly shit your character wears and buying them expensive ass, bling to wear. Come up in that bitch iced out in a fucking dicky suit on some pimp shit. Just a fucking dope ass game, man. And my number one favorite fighting game of all time, Vampire Savior on the arcade, aka Darkstalkers 3. Now this fucking game is probably the most unique fighting game of all time. It's a fast game. I mean, you think Marvel vs. Capcom is fast? I mean, it's more than possible to beat somebody in 15 seconds with regularity. Mostly due in part to the fact that there is no round system. Instead, the person who got beat will have their health filled back up, and then you'll be at the same health you were, and then they'll just start the next round just like that. And I've never seen some shit like that before, and I just thought it was badass because there's no breaks in action aside from the little death animation that the character does. But other than that, the whole Darkstalkers series is just fucking insane, man. Character design, the way they attack, like, what's his name? Victor, he hits people with his ass on some fucking Nicki Minaj type ass shit. Their special moves, personalities, all that shit is just some of the most original and unique shit I've ever seen in my life. It's a novel concept for a fighting game too. Fucking monsters and zombies fighting each other and shit. But in Vampire Savior, we get 4 new characters. We get Lilith, who is the baby sister of Morrigan. We have fucking Baby Bonnie Hood, who is basically fucking Little Red Riding Hood packing heat, whipping out Mac 10s and bombs and machetes on a nigga. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck was just sitting around at Capcom and just popped up out their chair like, yeah, nigga, let's put Little Red Riding Hood up in the game, but like, let's make her a fucking gangster, It's like, damn. Then there's QB, she's like a fucking, B girl. And then you have Jeddah. He's the new boss who's trying to unite the worlds or some bullshit. Like, who gives a fuck about the story in a fighting game, But, yeah, man. Raw-ass motherfucking game. Unique as shit. Cool-ass characters. Cool moves. Funky, freaky-ass stages and music. There's nothing to dislike about this game, man. Very, very underrated game. Very underrated series as well. Alright, so that's it for this installation of the Funkentelechy podcast. Stick around for episode 4. Hire me all fucking ready. Coming next week, same time, same place. Have a good one.